Hi folks, welcome to Time to Talk with Belinda Stringer. I've just had a great chat to Belinda about all things dogs, funnily enough. So dogs, rescue dogs, and then we talked about a charity that her and her family set up called Hectors House. I'm not going to tell you much about it. I'm going to let you watch and listen to Time to Talk with Belinda Stringer. Take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching and listening. Bye-bye. Hi folks, I'm here with the lovely Belinda. Belinda, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you on. I've been really looking forward to talking to you, not just about dog rescue, but also about Hectors House, which I know is something that is so dear to your heart. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
And I met you at Tring the first time. That would have been 2008, maybe? 2000. I think it was around about 2008.
Yeah.
And you were working at Chilton's Dog Rescue, is that right?
That's right.
But
yeah.
How did you find working in the rescue centre?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I started there very much as a part-time person, and then as the time went on, I became the deputy manager. So I was there, I think, in total for 12 years.
Wow.
It was a lovely job, a very, very rewarding job. Sometimes a bit sad, but most of the time, finding the right homes for the dogs was just unbelievable. It was such a good feeling. I'm still in touch with a lot of people that my home dogs to when I was there, so that's lovely.
That's brilliant, because Chilton's was the only dog rescue that I would recommend.
Yeah, we were pretty good there. We had our good training there, and we really sort of tried to do our very best for people.
I mean, that's what I found with the rescue centre where you were. You did a lot of training with the dogs when they came in, didn't you? You just didn't hold them and then rehome them.
Yeah.
You did a whole behaviour reformation with them, didn't you?
That's right. We worked right through. Sometimes dogs were with us for quite a long time because, you got dogs with issues that needed to be worked with. Some were just simple things like they just didn't know how to walk on a lead properly and that sort of thing. But others had more complex problems. But we would work through them and inevitably find homes for them. So that was a good thing. It was a great feeling.
And what kind of age group did you find mainly were being handed in?
Quite a variety. A number of really elderly dogs, sometimes because the owners had passed on or the family couldn't keep them when the owners had passed on. So we had a lot of oldies, but we also had a lot of young dogs, a lot of dogs perhaps in the sort of 8-month yobbo stage. They can be difficult at that age. And we would get a lot of them then. And that was great because it gave you something to really work with. So you could reform a dog quite quickly with a little bit of careful handling. You could get them into homes fairly fast, which was lovely, So we got quite a variety, but we had the whole spectrum really.
Was it any particular breed in your? Because I know around the country there's different breeds are prevalent. Like I was talking to Gary Mulvaney. I don't know if you know Gary, not one of the trainers. I'm sure you did professional instructor skills, remember, at the same time. He was saying that in Wigan it's primarily staffies. There's a lot of staffies there.
Yes.
And so what did you find was the breed that was being handed in the most when you were at Children's?
Well, again, a lot of staffies, a lot of the sort of more sort of staff crosses, quite a lot of those. But they can be such bright dogs. You can really get something out of them. They're great dogs. But we also had quite a number of Springer Spaniels. People often will buy that type of dog but don't realise that they're a high energy dog and they need to work. So we would end up with these pretty naughty Springer Spaniels sometimes who really needed to work or have something, even if it was just a bit of nose work, get them to feel that they were doing a job, and a lot of those. Some of the bigger breeds where people have taken on a big strong dog and hadn't realised that in actual fact that big strong dog was, needing a lot more than they could give it. So we had quite a spectrum of dogs there,
Mm. And did you find that, depending on what the film was released that year and what dog it had in, did you find like 8 months later or
101 Dalmatians.
101 Dalmatians? I can remember I used to work for Beagle Rescue a lot when I first come back from New Zealand, and that wasn't long after the Fox and the Hound would be, not the Fox and the Hound,
Yeah.
Cats and Dogs. Do you know
Cats
the
and
Cats and
dogs.
Dogs?
Yeah.
And they had a real issue with beagles being handed in all of the time after the film.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
was that really common?
Yes, people are very, very much guided by that sort of thing, unfortunately, because they will often get the wrong type of dog. I think also with some of these films about the sort of frozen north and that sort of thing, the husky thing was quite a big problem, or those type of dogs, pulling dogs. And we would end up with dogs of that type as well, because again, they don't make great pets. They need to be outside. They're too hot most of the time in an overheated house. So we would get those in, and it would, as you say, depend on the film and that sort of thing. We had quite a number of Labradors after Marley and me. So it does. Unfortunately, people are guided by that, and they just, oh yeah, I like that. I want one of those. What they don't realise is that dog that's being filmed is a dog that has had hours and hours of time spent on it to get it to be actually doing the things that it's doing. It's like beagles. They don't make great pets. They'll either get under it, over it, or around it, because that's what we bred them to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I know, because I was doing a lot of behaviour work when Prince William got the little black cocker. I can't remember its name now. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of black cockers, and then I was seeing a lot. I felt as if every other consult was a black cocker that I was seeing, because just high energy, not people not realising what they're bringing home with them.
That's right. That's right. And people are unscrupulous. You get the working cockers, which are a very different breed of dog almost to the show cockers. So you end up with this thing where people think, oh yeah, I can make some money selling this, and you'd end up with people getting these dogs that just weren't suitable for them. Fortunately for us at Dog Rescue, we had quite a lot of people who wanted to work their dogs. So we would sort of ring round and say, hey, we've got a really nice cocker here. Are you interested? Or a really nice Springer here. So because we'd been going for so long, I think we'd built up this sort of bank of people who sometimes would think, I know that his dog's on the blink and getting older, and perhaps he might be taking on a younger dog. So that was a great way to sort of hone these dogs. But again, as you say, cockers can be a bit naughty sometimes.
They can, and there's and there's a real there's some of them can be really aggressive as well.
Absolutely, yes, face biters. One or two of those in, yes.
They're really face biters, and I don't know if it's because the working cocker. I don't know about the English cocker, but I know the working cocker is very much into wrapping itself around your neck. And so it makes sense that the first place they bite is your face if they're halfway around your throat anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And people think they're so sweet and soft and they're lovely soft ears, they think, oh, ideal dog for the kids, and they're not. It really isn't the right dog for them quite often, and it's so sad when you see that, people having to part with their dogs because of that. Because they've got this high energy, they need to work, they're not getting that. So then it always turns inwards, doesn't it? So they become aggressive because that's the only way they can communicate, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping, because Disney's gone through the phase at the minute of remaking the classics, aren't they? They've just remade Mulan in a film. And I'm just hoping that they're not going to remake Lady and the Tramp. They haven't already done it, I don't think. But I hope they don't, because that'll just be a disaster for the cocker.
Absolutely.
It'll just be awful for the English cocker. It would just be horrific. Or is that an American cocker? It's probably an American cocker.
American cocker, but again, they can be quite sharp.
They can be quite sharp.
Yeah, I had an American cocker that I inherited from somebody I bought a house from. She bought a house and she was back by the evening saying to me, I can't keep this dog, I've got white carpets. So that was my first introduction to American cockers. But she was sharp. She didn't like Robert. She didn't want Robert near me. She was very possessive. Quite a lot of things going on there. I mean, I don't want to brand them all like that because I bred a couple of litters after that were absolutely beautiful, brilliant family dogs. But yeah, I think if they remake Lady and the Tramp, we're in big trouble.
We're in huge trouble because I mean, there's all of the different breeds, isn't there? There's the Afghan, and I'm trying to think what's in there. There's Lady, who's a cocker. I don't know if it's English or American, and then we've got there's an Afghan in there, isn't there?
Yeah. Now that would be disastrous.
That would be disastrous if that became fashionable.
I mean, I love Afghans, but they need to be in the middle of the desert running after things with their master,
Not walking along with your
oh my God, they're a nightmare. My friend had one, and unfortunately, we taught it to show jump because we were girls and we wanted ponies at the time. And we taught it to jump. And of course, once it could jump, it realised it could jump, and it was going over 8-foot fences.
I mean, they're so beautiful. They just glide, don't they? And the hair,
gorgeous.
And not low maintenance dogs.
No, absolutely. No, they wouldn't be my cup of tea.
No. Belinda, do you think we have a skewed view of dogs? Because we are always on the not the nice end of the dogs, aren't we? So people put pictures up on Facebook and they kind of go, oh my God, don't do that with your child and your dog. Oh my God, don't do this, don't do that. And do you think we look at dogs differently to like ordinary dog owners?
I think we do, but I also think that as trainers and behaviourists, we can understand the warning signs much more quickly because you begin to, when you work with them as long as you and I have done, you can pick up those warning signs very, very quickly. Those subtle little ear twitches, that subtle little tightening of the mouth, those things to us become almost like second nature. But to other people, they're not, because it's not what they do. Yeah. So I think, people, I've always tried with people who are homing a dog or, people with kids to help them to understand the fact that, dogs can feel uncomfortable in certain situations, when they're looking away and they're going, I don't want to make eye contact here. It's not right for me. All this looking into their eyes. Most dogs hate that.
Yeah.
But people don't understand it. And as you say, things like movies and things, it's all very, very different because the filming of it, they're all looking into each other's eyes and loving their dog and that sort of thing. And it doesn't work. So we do have this unrealistic expectation, or people have an unrealistic expectation of their dogs, I think. And that's quite worrying, isn't it?
And I find it, in some ways, quite disconcerting from an aggression perspective. I think, oh God, somebody's going to lose their face.
Yes.
And then the other side of it is I just feel incredibly sad for the dog because we've taken this wonderful species and rather than honour it and honour its communication system, we end up trying to push it into a mould that it was never designed to fit, which is a little fur baby and, lots of kids and fiddles. And sometimes I just feel incredibly sad when I see people treating dogs like fur babies, putting them in handbags and dressing them up and covering them in kisses. And I mean, I kiss my dogs and cuddle my dogs, but I've conditioned them to it from when they were puppies.
Yes.
I would never, I don't stroke other people's dogs even. I go, oh, nice
I never
dog.
do. I never touch other people's dogs. No. Unless if a dog comes to me, that's fine. But if I'm in someone's house and their dogs are there, I'm just, I show no interest until they come to me. But people go, oh, it's a dog. Wow, look, ooh, let me make a fuss of it. And that's when they go, no, actually, I don't know you. Stay away from me. I mean, it's like a stranger running up to you and cuddling you, isn't it?
It is.
You don't want that. You don't know them. You don't have that relationship with them. But people seem to think that dogs should just accept that. And it just doesn't work.
No.
That's a worrying thing.
It's not good. I mean, I ask people, how would you feel if you were walking down the street and you're walking down the street with your child and everybody came over and started ruffling their hair?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're letting them do to your dog. And it's not good. It's not good. So what dogs have you got at the minute?
I've only got two at the moment, but I'm hoping to have another one soon. I think I'll probably have another one soon. Edward is 18.
Uh-huh.
I got him from rescue when he was 2. He's a little naughty terrier, and he's always been naughty, and he always will be. So he was my biggest training challenge, I think. And then I lost my darling Jake. You remember Jake, the big hairy mongrel?
I do.
He was so clever, such a clever dog. But I still have my darling Happy, who's now 9.
Happy.
Happy, and he's still the same. He's full of beans. He's just a pleasure every day. I think with unfortunately, I think cockatoos have become so popular now, but he really is happy. He's just happy to do everything. I've got my granddaughter staying at the moment, and as soon as she goes outside, he joins her. He wants to be with her. He plays with her. They have a ball, or they have toys, or whatever. He's just a brilliant little dog. But he has a very healthy lifestyle. He's running around constantly. He's energetic. We swim probably twice a week. Either in the sea or in the lakes and that sort of thing. All right, he swims. I just watch.
You stand there with the towel.
I do. But he loves it. He has that. But again, he came into rescue because he was very high energy. You couldn't cope with him. I think, his 3rd home, and he was only 7 or 8 months old when I got him.
Yeah.
He is a dog who needs to do things. He needs to use his nose. I put things out for him, and he, goes and finds them and that sort of thing. But he really is a source of endless pleasure, and he always comes back when he's called. And that's what more could you ask for? That's what I always say.
And people don't get that, these cockapoos, and I say cockapoo reluctantly. These cockapoodle crosses.
I call him a poodle cross.
Yeah. These poodle cocker crosses, or cockapoodle crosses, and they don't realise that they've got the intelligence and stubbornness of the poodle, and they've got the intelligence and speed and manic energy of the cocker. And you can quite often get the worst of both breeds, not necessarily the best of both breeds.
I agree. Because you're mating 2 things together, you don't know what you're going to get unless you really have a proper breeding program, so that that their ancestry works together. Because sometimes, as you say, it doesn't gel. I mean, I've known dogs in rescue, not necessarily poodle cocker crosses, but crosses of different varieties, where you could almost feel one side taking over and the other side fighting it. So the dog was actually not able to process what was going on in its head, and that's really worrying. It's quite a big thing. But with him, I mean, I was very, very lucky in that he is the best of both worlds. Perhaps not as much intelligence as a poodle, but he's certainly got he's certainly got the bounce, and he's a good-natured dog, a really good-natured dog. He's great with other dogs and that sort of thing. But again, you think about it, you think, how many hours have I spent doing stuff with him? You've got to put the time in, and I think people don't realize how much time and energy and training and just taking them out and having fun with them as well. Teaching them how to do things, teaching them how to be quiet and calm and crate. With Happy, it's like a switch, because he was crate trained from a very early age. If he's being all mad and crazy, I've got a crate in the car. I don't have a crate in the house anymore, but I just pop him in the crate, and he'll sit there in the back of the car and watch me doing whatever I'm doing forever. It's like turning him off, And I think for dogs, that's great to have that, So.
It's amazing that people, I'm going to sound like my mum now. It's amazing in this day and age how people are still anti-crate. There's been things, and I can't remember, was it PETA put it out a little while ago, towards the beginning of the year, about how crate training is cruel and you shouldn't put a dog in a crate. And to me, I think it is an absolute godsend. Teaches the dogs to switch off, keeps the house safe.
Yeah.
Stops you getting wound up with the dog if they're mithering for attention.
Exactly.
There's
so many good things about a crate. just, you know, as you say, you almost can't think of all the good things about it. Used properly, it is the best tool. It really is, you know. I mean, as you know what Happy's like. He's as mad as a kid. But when we were staying at the hotel, when we were doing the course, I could take Happy upstairs, bung him in his crib, go and have my dinner, socialise with the other people, never hear a peep out of him.
Yeah.
He just knows that's what happens when he goes in the crate.
Yeah.
You know, and it's stayed with him because I mean I don't crate him very often now because obviously, you know, it's only occasionally that I'll put him in the crate, but it's still there. You know, we can do a 5-hour trip back to Hertfordshire and he'll get in. He and Eddie, like two sausages, they'll lie down. We never even stop. We don't even stop for a wee. We just go.
Yeah.
And they just sleep. That's all they do. They're happy.
Happy's happy.
Happy's happy. He's always happy.
I just find crates really interesting. I can remember when we got, Craig, it's happened with all the dogs, you know, with the big dogs when you get the puppies in. And I can remember getting this tiny little puppy crate out when we got Zig, and Angus desperately trying to get in. He could only literally get his head and he couldn't get his shoulders in, and he was desperately getting the crate. So I had to go and get the big golden retriever sized crate down for Angus because he was so upset that he couldn't fit in the puppy crate.
Couldn't be in the puppy crate.
He couldn't fit.
Mine love a crate. They love a crate. It's a natural thing for them. It's almost, it's like their little cave, isn't it, where they can tootle in and be safe. You know, they're surrounded, especially if there's a blanket over the top of it. They will happily go in there and spend hours. You know, yeah. Unfortunately, we get the other side of people saying, "Oh no, you can't do that. It's cruel." You know, tell that to someone who's just had their best leather sofa ripped to pieces because, you know.
Or, you know, their dog's been electrocuted because it's chewed through the cables in the kitchen.
Absolutely. And you know, they can be very destructive. You know, I did a behavioural for a guy who had a Staffordshire Bull Terrier. Lovely dog, but terrible separation anxiety because I advised him, I said, you know, you've got to get away from this dog. You've got to let him understand that he can spend time on his own. But I went to his house. The first time I went to his house, the dog had eaten the plaster off halfway up the walls.
Yeah.
The washing machine had ripped the side off in desperation. All of those things, you know, and they can do a lot of damage with those teeth.
Yeah.
You know, lovely dog though, but unfortunately the person would not listen. So he ended up, I think he had to part with the dog eventually because he just wouldn't listen to what I was saying. You know, and I thought, well, I'm wasting my time here. I'm doing this for free, actually. I was just advising him.
Okay.
I thought, do you know what? Really, you need to go and pay somebody and maybe you'll take more notice.
I think doing things for free is exactly that. People go, oh, sure, it's not, you know, it's obviously not important advice or good advice because it's free. So you should always charge. Always charge.
I agree.
I think the other thing on crate training, and it'll lead quite nicely into the next subject, I think, is that when we're stressed, we pace. I'm a pacer. I know if I'm really stressed, I'll pace. Yeah. And if I've got an uncomfortable phone call, I'll walk up and down when I'm on the phone. So I'm a pacer, and I know that, and that is me in fight flight. And so when you go into fight flight, you know, you're either running away or you well, there's four, isn't there? Fight, flight, fawn, and something else, freeze. And I'm a flight, I'm a run. And so when I get stressed, I pace up and down, and it's the same with dogs as well. And when they get stressed, they start pacing. You know, you see them pacing the fence line, or they'll pace around the house. And the more the pace, the higher the stress, and the more the pace. And so it's the same with us. When we feel stressed, the best thing we can do is just sit, take a moment, take a breath, and just allow the feelings to move on to the next feeling. And it's kind of the same with the dogs as well. If they get worried, the best thing you can do is just teach them to do nothing. Let the adrenaline leave their system.
Just drop.
And just settle. And so I find that for the crate as well. People go, I can't restrict my dog, he gets stressed. Well, actually, if you restrict him, he'll calm down much quicker.
Exactly. It's they are brilliant. And as you say, when we think of ourselves in the same way, because I mean, I suppose physiologically we're similar, aren't we? it's the same thing, isn't it? As you say, sit with your feelings, just sit, be quiet, be calm, just let them flow, and it's an important thing. The trouble is, Beth, I think we have trouble understanding ourselves, so how the hell are we going to understand dogs?
Well, we can guess.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? We really struggle to understand ourselves. We do, and
Yes.
I've done a lot of psychology over the years, and my previous my previous profession as a kinesiologist, I did a lot of counselling and just working with emotions and brain chemistry and all of that lot. And it's quite amazing how little we knew about ourselves when psychology really came to the fore in the 70s, and how little we knew then to how much
Yes.
we know now about neuroscience and brain chemistry and neuroplasticity and all of that lot. And it's such an amazing field, and where we're going to go in 10 years time in relation to understanding emotions and triggers and brain chemistry. And it is something that I wanted to talk to you about as well, in relation to brain chemistry and how depression impacts brain chemistry, because I know that a number of years ago you and your family set up an organisation, a charity called Hectors House.
That's right.
And I would really like to talk to you about it, because I know it's something that's really important to you, and it's really important to me as well. I really think what you do with Hectors House is phenomenal. And I had the honour of meeting Hector when you were at Chilton's.
That's right.
Such a cracking lad, and I can remember he was planning on coming down to Marlborough and do some gun dog training with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna let you talk about Hector's House, if you don't mind, and I'm just gonna listen and sit here in awe of what you and Robert and your family have done.
Oh, well, we lost Hector, as you know, in 2011. Mm-hmm. He took his own life. There was very, very little warning that anything was going to happen. Hector was always life and soul of the party. He had a lot of friends. He was just appeared to be a very happy boy. He was always very emotional, working as he did with me with the dogs. He was actually a really, really good trainer, because he could almost feel what the dogs were feeling. However, I knew very, very little about suicide or anything like that, and the fact that it is the biggest killer of young men, and actually men going up to 40 now, so things have moved on a pace from there. So when we lost him, we decided that we were not going to be the people that everybody avoids and nobody ever talks about it. It becomes a taboo subject. We jumped in with both feet and decided we would start our own charity, which we did in 2012. We have had the most amazing support from Hector's friends, from his college, from all of our own friends and people that we know. People have supported us. We are very, very, very lucky. What it's enabled us to do is to go into schools. We started a website, first of all, because that was, I think for Robert, my husband, that was something that he was good at and could do. I think when you lose somebody like that, you either go, oh my God, I'm going to hide forever and never ever come out of my shell, or you say, right, I'm going in here with both feet, we're going to do something. And for us, I can remember saying to Robert, I think it was the night after Hector taken his own life, I can't let this define us. We have to be able to move on from this. Of course, we'll never forget him and we love him to bits, but his life can't be wasted. We have to do something. Yeah. And this was the thought of Hector's House came up. Because his name was Hector, it had this kind of nice ring to it. And so we decided that was what we would call our charity. And we have a little house, which is Hector's House. So once we started, we were just inundated with lovely people helping us. We did an evening of memories for Hector. We have so many people around us who are such amazing people that support us so well. We have there's all sorts of things going on all the time. Normally, I mean, we would be doing festivals, we'd be out and about talking to young folk and doing that sort of thing. But the other thing we do is we have the signposting, which is on the big Hectors House site please go and have a look at it, everybody, if you can, because it's a really interesting site, very upbeat, and there's a lot going on there. We do yoga evenings, we do all sorts. People do Facebook challenges for us, they run marathons for us. So even though it's been so bad with COVID and everything, people have still kept going, they've still kept supporting us. And I'm just so grateful for that, because what that allows us to do is actually go into schools and to do various talks and things to help the kids and have question and answer sessions. Because for a lot of young people, they don't want to answer those questions, they don't know who they can ask those questions of. You know, if they're feeling bad, they're not going to share it with their mum. Hector didn't share it with me. He just internalized it. So to be able to talk to somebody who can go in there and say, look, I've lost my boy because of this happening, it opens it up and it makes it something that they can talk about, they can discuss, and can feel that they're in a comfortable situation where no one's going to judge them. So that's good. The other element that we are very, very lucky to be able to provide is we have she's a counsellor, she's a psychoanalyst, she's pretty high up in her field, and we're able to send people there who sometimes need help, and they need help straight away. They don't need it in 6 weeks' time because the poor old NHS is totally, inundated. They may need help that day. So then what happens is we have to we're able to actually pay for those people to go and have that help. And that's, something that is purely brought up because of what people do for us as a charity. So we're very, very lucky. We're very, very lucky. My granddaughter's in the background there. She's just appeared.
Who is that?
Yeah. This is Emily. She's my other son's daughter.
Hello.
Yeah. This is Les, my friend. Yeah. All right. Okay. You can go and do something for me because I'm chatting. Is that right? Okay. Oh, I don't know. Think of something. Plenty to do here. There's always plenty to do here.
Oh, yes.
So we have been blessed by the people that have helped us. And I think for Robert and I, and for Lottie, and for John, running the charity has actually given us that something back. The fact that I get to say Hector's name every day, the fact that we can remember him and talk about him, because for so many people it becomes that thing that they go, oh, you had an uncle.
Yeah, it becomes a taboo subject, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's what we don't want. That we want that openness, and that openness, especially for youngsters, get that is really, really important. So we're very lucky. We are very blessed. I thought I'd never be happy again when we lost Hector, but you can be. You have to look around at what you have got, not what you haven't got.
Yeah. I think it's amazing what you're doing. When I was a kinesiologist, I used to work a lot with young men, really, 14, 15-year-olds, and grown men as well, and it was so difficult for them to express their feelings. And when I lived in New Zealand, I found it very challenging because I would see these young lads who were Islander origin, so Pacific Islanders are Maoris, and they would start the tattooing when they hit double figures. The tribal tattoos.
Yes, I do.
A lot of them are done traditionally with bamboo. The bamboo tapping, and I don't know if it's, and I'm going to say this, I don't know if this is right across all of the traditions, but I know some of the young lads that I saw, the young men that I saw, they felt as if they couldn't cry because it would bring shame to the family. And I've got tattoos. I know that they can be painful, and especially if they go over the bone, if they go over a sensitive bit, it's painful, and you have to really, really dig deep. And that's me as a grown woman. But 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, when they start, it can be really challenging for them. And so they have a lot of this like tribal pressure as well. And I can remember working with these lads and them releasing so much that the treatment couch would actually move because they were crying so hard. And just it used to really tear my heartstrings, and I used to find it really, really difficult to deal with, but just glad that I was there to give them the outlet that they needed. And
that they needed.
and I find men more so and boys more so don't actually talk. They feel, I think men feel very deeply. They don't necessarily communicate it. And because they don't talk about their feelings in the way that women do, I think, and again, I'm generalising, again, I think that women tend to dismiss men's feelings because they're not overt with them without realising just how deep those feelings go and how affected men are by things generally. And I think it's, I don't know where I'm going with this, Belinda, but it's like, it's that kind of feeling, isn't it? Because
big boys don't cry. That's how I kind of
thing, isn't it? Big boys don't cry. And it's just, the feelings go so deep. Just because people aren't talking about it doesn't mean that they're not suffering. And I know I was bullied as a kid, really badly bullied at school, and my outlet was horses and dogs, and so I don't know what I would have done had I not have had my dog, and had I not have had the horses to go and cry into their neck
and tell your troubles to, really.
And tell your troubles to, and I just don't know how life would have turned out if I'd not had that, because I was really bullied. And but I think Hectors House is such an amazing thing, because you've got Hector's bus now as well, haven't you?
We have, yes. That's good. Hopefully that will be on the road next year. It's beautiful. It's an old horse box, but it's been all done out as an office. We're waiting for a new chassis, actually. We've got the money, it's all there, but we're just waiting for the right chassis to come along, because it has to go onto a new chassis. So that's been a bit held up, and because of this year, obviously, we won't be taking it out anyway. But once we do, it's going to look absolutely banging. We are very excited about it.
And are you going to, is Lottie going to be doing, like, because I know Lottie's a therapist as well now, is she going to be doing talks in there, or is it just to get you around the country, or is it going to be...
We will have everything. We will have a quiet place where people can come and talk and spend some time just chilling with somebody. Lottie now has done her hypnosis and various other things. You need to get in touch with her and have a chat. But she's doing a lot of therapy too. So she will be able to come as well. So we'll have a quiet room. We'll have all of the stuff that, that makes it nice and exciting and attracts people, because there's nothing worse than a mental health charity when everybody's just like, you want it to be bright, you want things to be bright, you want them to be uplifting, and that's what that's going to be. It's going to be our battle bus. So we're very excited about it, and we'll be able to go along, we'll be able to rock up at various places, and also just park in the car parks in local areas and just say to the kids, come on. We've always done stuff when we used to have gazebos and that sort of thing, but once we have this proper area, it's going to be brilliant, because we're going to be able to say, if you want to come and have a chat with somebody, come sit, be quiet, come sit with your feelings, spend some time with us, and we're very excited.
That'll be awesome. And do you ever use dogs as part of the therapy as well? Do you ever have?
We always have a dog with us, always, and it does make life so much better. I can tell you a little story. When Hector died, we spent quite a lot of time talking to the BBC and talking to people, and we had various things where things were done, and I had to sit in front of the camera, and I'm not a camera person, it's not something I do, but I can remember saying to him, I can't do this, I need Jake here. And under the table, although you couldn't see him, was my Jake, there with his muzzle pushing on my leg, and I thought, oh, it's making me quite tearful. But he was there, and I think it's really important, because sometimes people don't want to meet your eye, and a dog that will come up. We're very lucky, because we've got a couple of dogs that are really, really friendly, happy to be around people. And they just help people to, if you can even focus on the dog, you're looking at the dog rather than looking at the person you're talking to. It makes it easier for kids to talk, or for people to talk sometimes. you know. And even if the conversation only opens by talking about the dog, then you can move it on, you know. So I think we would very much like to almost incorporate that kind of doctor's therapy almost thing into what we do, although we naturally do it anyway. But yeah, it's I don't know where I'd be without my dog, like you say. It's
No.
something that they give.
And they're fantastic because you know, me and Ross do, and Chris Kent do DogSafe, you know, Dog Safety Education Executive, and we
Yeah.
also do courses for people who are going in other people's houses where there's dogs, you know, for like social workers and so on. And we say use the dog, if they've got a dog, use the dog as a way of breaking the ice.
Absolutely.
Just say, you know, that's a nice dog, and what's he called, and how long have you had it? And then before you know it, you're developing some sort of relationship with the person without actually talking to the person. You haven't said anything. All you're doing is asking about the dog. And if they've got a dog, they obviously love it. And so there's that lovely way of developing conversation and having people relax around you because of the dogs. But I mean, dogs are great stress relievers, aren't they? And
they certainly are.
we, as a primate, we're tactile and we like to touch. And so having a dog there, just, it's very reassuring, isn't it? Just to sink your hands into that fur. And
yeah. I mean, I live most of the week, well, all week I live on my own. So Robert only comes home at weekends. So although I've got Emily here at the moment, normally I'm by myself. So in the evening, you know, it's okay, you come up on the sofa and have a cuddle. Yeah. And it's great. You've got that company there, you know, that animal that you've got to take care of. It's got to go out and you've got to do things with. And you go out, you meet people, you chat to people when you're out walking. You know, we don't see that many people up here because it is very quiet. But you know, we often do meet dog walkers if we go down to the seaside, which is great because there's always people on the prom, and the prom is brilliant. It's really wide. So you can walk your dogs down there and they can see other dogs. So it's perfect. It's brilliant. You know, really good.
So what's next for Belinda and Hectors House? I mean, I know it's a bit difficult at the minute with lockdown, and Wales are kind of like Scotland. We're behind England in relation to what we're doing. We're kind of being very cautious about lifting lockdown, which is a good thing. So what's next? Because I believe you are involved with this texting service as well.
Yes. Yeah, we have Robert is very involved with it. It's called Shout. I think Prince William kind of started it off and that sort of thing. And it's an ability for people to just connect, and they can do that through Hectors House. They can literally just text Hector and some numbers which are on the site. I can't remember them offhand, and that will connect them through to Shout. And Shout is a platform that they can use anonymously, so they don't have to use their name or anything, and they just can text talk to somebody. So all of the people who are there have to be obviously they go through a course and they learn how to deal with all of those things. Sometimes they have things which are called active rescue. So Rob will be typing away and he'll say, oh, there's somebody on a bridge here, need to do an active rescue. And the police can then triangulate it from their phone and will actually go out and take somebody off a bridge or things like that. I mean, often it's just people wanting to talk. It's just being able to talk to someone, even a perfect stranger. You know, to be able to make that connection with text. I mean, I'm a big texter, as you know, because my hearing's not very good. And for these people to actually be able to sit down and have a text conversation with somebody, and sometimes they're quite long, they can be hours or 2 hours. Rob will often sit down at sort of just after dinner about 7, and sometimes I'll say, well, I'm going to bed at 12 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock he'll still be working his way through them. And there's always a queue of people needing that help. But he said, you know, it's so good because sometimes he'll get a bit of feedback. You often don't get feedback, but quite often people will say, do you know what? I just needed someone to talk to. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do it today.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant. It's just taking the edge off. You know, it only takes a moment to take the edge off somebody's thoughts and to get them thinking in a different way or being more positive. But you can't advise them because you're not a counsellor.
No.
You've got to let them sit with their thoughts. You've got to let them come to you with their thoughts. And then sometimes you can interject. And, so I think Robert found that the most difficult thing, because as a dad, you want to tell your children, no, do this, do it this way, do it that way. As parents, that's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah.
But to actually sit and say, okay, this is how you're feeling. So what do you think might change this? What might help you to, So it's quite fascinating. I must do it myself, actually. I need to do the course and do it, because I have a lot of evenings when I'm not doing anything when I'm up here, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I did look into it, as you know, because I spoke to you about that. I looked into it, and I've gone through the vetting process, but then everything just started taking such a long time, and then it just kind of, the process just petered out. But I think it's a fantastic thing. And what you were describing is almost the difference between coaching and mentoring. So when you're coaching, you're letting the person find their own answers, whereas when you're mentoring them, you're guiding them in the direction you want them to go to, or the direction they should be going into. But I think it's such an awesome thing, because especially like with makes me sound old, but like the younger generation, they're very much into texting and messaging. But also, I know there's been situations where I don't like going on the tube in London, for example. I'm not very good on the underground. I'm fine if I'm with somebody, but on my own, stuck in a tunnel in the underground in the centre of London in a busy tube, a text message makes the world of difference if you can get them when you're in the tunnel. But it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Sometimes you're in a situation where picking a phone up isn't the best. It's not an option. It's not an option. But a text is pretty much always an option.
Yes.
And so I think a texting service is awesome.
Really, really good. Really good. And
I'll put Hectors House up on YouTube when this goes up, and I'll put links to everything as well for you. So, where do you see Hectors House going once lockdown's over?
Well, eventually, rather than our virtual Hectors House, we would like to have a real Hectors House where people can come. They can be, again, using animals as therapy. They can be with animals, with people. They can just have this all-round experience. I think, for a lot of kids, music is very important, and it's like, here we have masses of instruments, and Emily can just bang away at something, and all of those things that you really want to do, but you're kind of not sure. So if you had this place where they could go and they can do these things, they can be with other people, they can do all of these different things that they want to do, be with animals, grow things, whatever, it's almost like a commune type thing, but somewhere that kids can go and do that sort of thing, or adults, it's just that's the thought. Eventually, a real Hector's House. That that's going to take a lot of years and a lot of money, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Especially with all the people we have that support us. We're so lucky. We're so blessed.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And just before we go, I want to end on dogs. So, you said you were probably going to get another dog now that you're down to 2. So what you're favouring at the minute? Are you going to get another rescue? Are you going to get a puppy? What's your plan?
Well, I had thought about getting another puppy, and then looking at how COVID has been, and the number of dogs people have taken into their homes while they've been at home 24/7, I think there is going to be a huge influx of dogs into rescue after this is over. And I think that might be the time when I perhaps go and say, okay, let's have a look at a rescue. I mean, I've had rescues for years now, and they have brought me so much pleasure. I am seriously worried about how the situation is going to go when people go back to work, because there'll be a lot of dogs that have been with their owners 24/7, and suddenly everyone's going back to work, and it's all going to be, whoa, I'm on my own, and then you start.
Yeah, I was thinking about asking Sarah to come on and see what's going on with Chilton's at the minute, because
she'll be able to give you a really good overview. I was talking to her the other day actually, and I said, I expect you're bracing yourself, and she said, I'm braced. Because I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have a lot of dogs coming into rescue that have say coming into rescue, I'm not in rescue, you know what I mean. There are going to be dogs that have separation anxiety and other issues because they haven't had that right start. They've been with their owners 24/7, sleeping in bed with people because maybe those people are isolating and they were all on their own. You know, there's lots of reasons why, but it's going to impact them.
Yeah.
And fundraising, obviously, for the rescues has been horrendous because all of the usual things that take place won't have been able to take place this year. The big money.
Of course. All of the dog shows and stuff that are they raising money.
Yeah, so it's very worrying. So I think I may go down the rescue route, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. I mean, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. At the minute, I'm just watching in horror as the cost of puppies goes to
it's ridiculous.
£3,000 for a working cocker and £3,000 for a Labrador, and you just think, you know, that will cause resentment when the puppy starts messing about or destroying the house or biting the children.
Yeah.
The fact it's going to be hard enough anyway, but the fact that you paid £3,000 for a little thing that's destroying your house.
Yeah, and by now you may have lost your job as well. So there's going to be all of those pressures.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a great big melting pot, I'm afraid.
It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask Sarah should come in because I also want to talk about the Romanian rescues as well.
Yeah. We haven't even touched on that.
I haven't touched on Romanian rescues yet.
No, you can touch on that with Sarah.
I will. So, Craigie, Belinda, it's been so lovely talking to you. I'm really glad you came on. And maybe when we're out the other side and you've got your rescue, you'll come back and talk rescues again with me.
Oh, of course.
And Hectors as well, you know, give us an update on Hectors because it's such an important thing that you're doing. And I was just in awe of you when you started off, and still am, what you and your family are doing. You know, because I've spoken to a lot of you about therapies and therapies and stuff, and I just think, you know, you could have taken the road where it became a taboo subject. You could easily have done that, and for all of you to come out stronger and giving something back is just phenomenal. I think it's amazing. I take my hat off to you, Mrs.
We're very lucky. We're very honoured to have such good people around us. That includes you.
Oh, thank you. Belinda, it's been so great having you on the podcast. Stay there, and I'm going to say goodbye to you properly once we stop the podcast. So thank you very much for coming on, and I look forward to talking to you again on another podcast soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.